The opinions expressed in this podcast are the opinions of the host and his individual guests and should not be taken as any particular investment advice. Boom, we're live.
Yeah, what's up, SideChain?
Jason King, how's it going? Thanks for coming all the way from the States, man.
Yeah, man, happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys, so we're with Jason King. One of the hardest things, I think, to do is to describe you. So philanthropist, entrepreneur, advisor, crypto OG, list goes on and on and on.
We were just talking about this earlier. You're the only guy that I was friends with before blockchain that's in blockchain now, because we met when you were in college.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
DC, man.
GW.
Circa 2008, 2009 is when we met.
Yeah. So we're BB before Bitcoin.
Before Bitcoin, before blockchain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking last night. I remember you mentioned people trying to BS you, saying they have masters in blockchain.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite thing
from the 1980s.
Yeah, consensus last year is that someone came up to apply for a job at Kingsland. It was just like, I got a PhD in blockchain in 1982. It's like, what, Satoshi?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Tell me more of this master's.
Tell me more about your scams.
So great. Kingsland, you started the topic. Let's start there.
Sure. So I'm the co-founder of the School of Blockchain at Kingsland University. So we're the only U.S. accredited school for blockchain development. We just basically realized that, blockchain has a lot of potential, and there's just not very many devs in the world for it. So we started making them,
and popping them out.
Yeah, no, we started about 2 years ago, and I fully went through the U.S. accreditation process. We're accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, so they accredit all of the, like Florida State, Georgia Tech, all of that stuff. So, fully accredited, and we've been teaching for a little over 2 years now, and it's going really good. Programs are great.
And you're doing this really cool thing that you mentioned when we were talking before the show. You guys have a really interesting
income sharing agreement.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So college debt sucks, especially in the United States. So I think the average is like $120,000 for a 4-year degree. And then the main problem with higher education in the United States is that they train you for jobs that don't exist anymore. So you get all of these people that go to school for liberal arts, underwater basket weaving, stuff like that, and they can't really get jobs. So we do. We have what's called an income sharing agreement, which is essentially you don't pay anything up front to go to school with us, and then we guarantee that you'll get a job, and you only pay us back as a percentage of your income after you get a job that you could only get with the training that we give you. So it's really, I think, from an educational institution place, it's really putting our money where our mouth is. Is that it's like not only like is this like a tool for you to like actually get jobs? Is this education valuable in the marketplace? But we'll guarantee it, because if you can't get a job after us teaching
putting
you,
your money where your mouth is,
we're never going to get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's been really well received. Yeah.
Probably not by your competitors or other higher learning institutions.
There's been a growth of the ISAs in the U.S. There's a company called Lambda Academy that does it for full stack engineering. We do it for full stack and blockchain. It's great. I think it's going to fundamentally change how people finance higher education in the U.S. and probably around the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where when you mentioned it to me, it's almost so logical. Like it makes sense. And it's incredible that more institutions and programs like yours aren't implementing something like this.
Yeah, and so like for a blockchain developer, it's actually really so like the journeyman average salary for a software developer in the United States is like $82,000 to $85,000, and then the same job as a blockchain developer goes up to like $163,000 for the same level of experience. So if you can take our classes and go from $80,000 in earning potential to $160,000 in earning potential, and then all that you have to do is pay a percentage of the money that you wouldn't have been able to get beforehand, it's kind of a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a great program, and we're really proud of it.
All right, let's pimp you out real quick. Give the URL, because I want to back up in your life in what you've been doing.
KingslandUniversity.com, and it's not named after me. Nobody believes me. It's named after Kingsland, Georgia. It's not named after Jason King, but Kingsland.
That's the official version. Okay, we know what the truth is.
Yeah.
we can just, we don't need to spread it out. All right, so let's take a few steps back because we started in DC. We started in DC circa 2008, 2009, pre-blockchain, pre-Satoshi, pre-Bitcoin.
I forgot there was a world back then, dude.
It wasn't very interesting.
It's
not
true.
what it is today.
The blockchain world is way more interesting. Yeah. My life has definitely improved since then. Dude, I told you about Bitcoin in 2010, and you told me it was a scam. Dude, 100%. Don't let any of your followers, He could have gotten in 2010 when I got in, and he told me it was a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
That's actually exactly what you told me it was. Yeah.
No, but if we left it there, it would be bad enough. But if we actually analyze what happened, so Jason told me about Bitcoin in 2010, I said no. Jason told me about Bitcoin in 2011. I said no. Jason told me about Bitcoin in 2012, and I was like, dude, can you stop it with the pyramid schemes? Like, you will lose all your money.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, the end of 2013, he's like, hey, I got into blockchain. It's like, you understand that's the same thing, right? It's like, I love Bitcoin now. It's great.
Or at least
working
I'm not
in
like
a
Jamie
blockchain
Dimon,
company.
saying that, or no, it's not Jamie Dimon. It's most institutions saying like Bitcoin we're not sure about, but blockchain is awesome. I'm not that kind of hypocrite yet. I just got in later.
Jamie Dimon is the one that said that Bitcoin was a scam and then bought a bunch of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's like Bitcoin is a total scam. Hey, what price did we get it?
It's like, can you guys go lower on this?
Crashing the market so I can buy in on the dip.
Yeah, that seems
buy the dip. Yeah, it's a great idea.
I mean, if you have the sway, then I think we're going to see politicians doing the exact same thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be worried when Buffett goes into it.
Well, it's really interesting is I think there's a proposed rule, or it's already come into effect, but basically sitting politicians have to disclose if they have cryptocurrency holdings now, and that's just going to be hilarious.
So because everyone's moving to Monero and Zcash.
Yeah, it's been years of people have just been like, hey, take some of my tokens. Hey, what's going on? Talk nicely about Bitcoin, and now it's going to be like no comment.
Yeah, no, it's going to be crazy. So you got started way early in Bitcoin.
Yeah, 2010, which is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, did you... Okay, so I think most people that get started in Bitcoin early, you start out as a skeptic. You read the white paper and you're like, can this work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving you crap for it, but the truth is that my friend Kyle told me about Bitcoin in 2009. Actually, tried to convince me to buy a lot of Bitcoin with him in 2009, and I told him he was an idiot. It was just like, this is stupid. Digital cash can't work. It's just copies of digital money.
By anything.
I was already over that because okay, good. Most currency in the world is not backed by anything.
Exactly.
So it's it's this shared delusion that we all have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally told him it was a scam, and then a year later, I actually read the white paper and was like, oh wow, this is a whole completely different thing, and was really impressed. And so I got in 2010, and then when I started getting known in the Bitcoin blockchain world, 2013-ish, Kyle texted me. He's like, man, it's so great to see you getting all that Bitcoin press. Too bad you didn't get all that Bitcoin.
Loser.
Yeah.
So you're one of the first people that I'm aware of that were using Bitcoin for the greater good, let's call it that, because you actually did a lot of charity work based on Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. So most people, the first they heard of me was through an organization I started called Sean's Outpost, and basically, the story behind Sean's Outpost is a good friend of mine, Sean Dugas, was actually murdered in 2012. And in trying to keep his memory alive, my wife at the time and I started feeding this one meal to the homeless every Thursday in my hometown of Pensacola, Florida. And that kind of put me down this rabbit hole of like getting more involved in homelessness, finding out what the root causes behind that were, and all of that sort of stuff. But flippantly, I was kind of a troll on Reddit. It seems weird today to talk about this, but when Bitcoin hit $50 in March of 2013, which was a big deal, I mean, like $50 was like holy crap, $50, this is insane.
We're taking over the world.
Yeah, so and I flippantly, they were having this argument over whether the value of Bitcoin was real, because they were just like, yeah, you say it's $50, was it really $50? It's just it's just ones and zeros. How
Especially
can it worth
with
that?
The market cap being that small.
And I just flippantly was like, here, send me a Bitcoin. I'm gonna go feed 40 people with it, and we can. And if 40 people were hungry, now they're not hungry, we can stop arguing over whether value transpired. And it became this sort of be careful what you say sort of situation, because I think in the first 24 hours, we got like 10 Bitcoins. And so we went out and fed like over 400 people. And then one of the sort of byproducts of what we did is that we were feeding sack lunches, and like people were tipping on Reddit. There used to be a tip bot on Reddit. It was massive. It was like it's how so many people learned about cryptocurrency. But and when we got donations, I would just like write the username, the Reddit handle down on the bag lunch and hand it out and take pictures of it. And we just sort of serendipitously created this like transparency system where it was like, this is the money that was raised. This is that money being used. And then people were like, oh, that's really cool. Like we can actually see what our donations are being used for, as opposed to it just going into like a black box charity. And like, they're like, yeah, no, we promise you we're doing good stuff with it.
Yeah. After we pay the CEO and our operation and logistics costs and everything and your dollar is worth like 10 cents for the needy.
Yeah, for sure. And so I just started Sean's Outpost, and we did fed a couple 100,000 meals to the homeless over the years. We're the largest provider of food to the homeless in Northwest Florida. And then also in 2013, we bought a parcel of land that we named Satoshi Forest. And so we run the only commercial campground for the homeless in the state of Florida. And, 2013, it's almost 2020 now, still going strong.
That's awesome.
You don't see a lot of crypto companies that have been around for 6-7 years.
Exactly.
Like there's like 5 of us.
Exactly.
And we're the only charity that's been around that long.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, and from Satoshi Forest and Sean's Outpost, you moved. I mean, obviously those things are still going strong, and then like you put them in a place where they're in a way self-sufficient, and you started to put more of your time into unsung.org. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, it's pretty funny. Like, you get involved and you think very similarly. You get involved in one thing, and then it sort of shows you like a bunch of like, you're like, I'm going to fix this problem. And then trying to fix that problem actually exposes like 20 other problems. And you're like, oh, we got to do all this crap. And then, Unsung is basically like Uber for feeding the homeless, and that's what we've been trying to do with it. And it basically solves this really screwed up problem in the United States, which is that we have 49 million people in the U.S. that live in food insecurity. So that's like people that don't know where their next meal's coming from. And at the same time, we throw away like $532 billion retail value of food every year. So it's like we have 50 million people starving and $500 billion in food getting thrown away every year. So it's like, it's quite possibly the dumbest problem that you could have.
Yeah.
It's like I saw an infographic of it. It's like 20 Super Bowl sized stadiums like full of food to get thrown away.
And let's just compare
Yeah.
that to the current market cap of all crypto, which is something just over 200 billion right now.
Right. So it's so we
twice the market cap of crypto getting thrown out of food.
2.5 times the market cap of crypto and food gets thrown out. And that's just in the United States.
One country.
Yeah, it's just in the United States. Yeah, it's like it's terrible in Europe, it's terrible in Britain, Asia, same thing.
Yeah, most developed countries are pretty bad about it.
Yeah. So it's pretty screwed up. So started working with that. And Unsung's going pretty good. And then started working on a project through Unsung called Satoshi Farms, which is brand new, which is basically we're trying to sort of mimic what we did at Satoshi Forest in a more sustainable way. So we're going to be creating farmsteads and then like working on teaching homeless people like basically farming skills and having like them come out and like learn to be a farmhand, have a place to work, and actually like work with their hands, like get out there in the dirt and actually learn about polyculture, permaculture.
That's very cool, and that's actually one of the things I wasn't planning on talking to you about this, but that's one of the things where currently, obviously, the U.S. election is right around the corner. You have Andrew Yang promising universal basic income, and one of the reasons, one of the things that gets thrown into the universal basic income debate is whether it's actually solving any problems, because it's one thing to give someone steady money every month, regardless of if it's $500, if it's $1,000, that's not the issue. But people need to have a reason to get up in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And what you just mentioned, you really hit the nail on the head there, because you're teaching these people a skill.
Yeah.
And it's a new way of life. It's not just asking for a handout or waiting for a charity to help them out. It's like, I have a reason to get up in the morning. I'm contributing my work to society, right?
Yeah,
so I think that's very cool what you're doing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and it's like there's a whole lot else with this. There's a book called Pharmacology, like Old MacDonald had a farm, pharmacology. And it basically just talks about how so much of like the autoimmune and like cancers and everything that we have like is related to basically like our food supply being poisoned because like we eat all this like monoculture created like big production agriculture and like all this processed food and all of this crap, and that basically just being exposed to the microorganisms that live on farms that are the things that actually produce the nutrients that go into the food that we eat, and just like getting exposed to that actually like reduces like your amount of medical care massively. Yeah, I mean it's
incredible. I actually had this conversation with my mom a few months back, and there's obviously there's a lot of documentaries and papers being published about decreasing meat intake, increasing your exercise output, increasing the vegetables that you're eating, and how many autoimmune and even there's anecdotal evidence of cancer cells being shrinking in size, like tumors shrinking in size just by changing diet. Like obviously it's anecdotal evidence. It's there's still years of work, but it's the funny thing is because my mom asked me like, why don't more people know about this? I'm like, well, who wins? Who wins? Like eat better and exercise. Like there's not like a lot of money to be made off of you if you follow
I think
rule.
one of the things that's like really confusing to people is that a lot of people don't get is that like basically everybody creates cancer every day. Like your body creates cancer cells every day. You just like you pass them. They don't hold on. But like when you create this toxic environment for your body, you make it easier for them to hang out, and then that's really when you start having problems. And I think that processed food's a massive problem. I think that I love eating meat, but like, good meat, like not, like pasture raised, grass fed, all of that, not production.
Soy fed.
Yeah. Not these like, Netflix videos of like 5,000 cows in like this studio, like hanging out. Yeah.
And chickens that can't walk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's terrible stuff.
So crypto blockchain helping that out as well.
Yeah.
Very
And
cool.
So, there's just a bunch of stuff, and, I'm gotten really passionate in the last couple of years about stopping desertification, which is like like half the land on Earth is basically going to desert, and agriculture like massive production farming is like ruined so much cropland and farmland all around the world, and so just trying to bring a bunch of things that I like together in sort of like an ecosystem way to solve a bunch of these issues.
That's very cool because like you talk a lot of entrepreneurs in crypto, and they have cool ideas for what to do within the crypto space, but one of the things I really admire about you is you're really connecting, you're using this infrastructure of blockchain and crypto and bringing like really important issues onto this, infrastructure of crypto and blockchain. Like it's
So Brock Pierce, who's obviously a big luminary in our space, is a good friend of mine, just a really wonderful person. But he has, and I'm probably going to bastardize it, so I apologize, Brock. But he has this saying that he's famous for, which is that a billionaire to me is not a person that has $1 billion. A billionaire to me is someone that's touched 1 billion lives. It's just that's even before he said that, it's just sort of how I felt, and like I think that that's what we're here for, is like that we're here to like make the world a better place for everybody, and not just like us all get rich. And it's great getting rich, don't get me wrong, but I mean but it's also that and I'm sure you're the same way. Like how many of your rich friends are miserable all the time? Like
absolutely.
I have so many friends that like really shouldn't have a care in the world, and they just like they spend their time just complaining and just crap all the time because they don't there's nothing, they're not doing anything worthwhile.
It comes back to what we were talking about 2 seconds ago. It's like, what's your reason for getting up in the morning, right? Like are you actually contributing anything to society? If you're just contributing, they're taking money out and you're holding a big bags of cash, then who wins? Right?
And I mean it's just like if you just look at the news, it looks like we live in a disaster area. It just looks like this is the
Blade Runner is around the corner.
This is the worst time to ever be, and if that's all that you do, it's really easy to get caught up in that. So I think it's just really important to like just do positive stuff, be around positive people, and like just try to make things better for those that you care about, and the less fortunate. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, it's there's this thing that's going on in my head. Like I read, like there's this it looks like a motivational poster, but it's Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, and it's like Coinbase has done a lot of good in this space. Like just going towards mass adoption, like I can't knock them for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of the things they've done recently are highly questionable, but it's really funny that you see, a crypto company that's like right up there with the big dogs in the fintech space and saying that their mission is financial independence.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Man, Coinbase is such a weird thing for me because like I knew Brian like early on. Like I knew Brian when Brian was posting on Bitcoin Talk that they were gonna start Coinbase, and then I met him early on. I was in their first offices in San Francisco. I was in their first offices when they got into the financial district in San Francisco, and that was crazy because it's like, damn, like Goldman Sachs is right here and Bank of America's right here and Coinbase. Oh, we got a crypto company in here, and I think they've done a massive thing. I think they've done a lot for crypto adoption, but there's a ceiling to a lot of this stuff, and if you wanna play ball at a high enough level, there's trade-offs in it, and especially if you want to do it in the United States. Like I love the U.S. I love my country, but I mean we really need to get our shit together when it comes to crypto regulation. It's just terrible, and there's a massive brain drain. People are just leaving the country. Investors are leaving the country because it's just not a good place to be.
Yeah, but it's so funny because like there's this what's the best way to put it? It's this duality almost of the United States and what the U.S. is to crypto. Because on one hand, there's people fleeing the U.S., but on the other hand, and I know a lot of exchanges have this mentality, like the U.S., like to be present in the U.S., it's the be-all, end-all, it's the end game, right? Because you have companies
huge
like
retail market.
Yeah, you have Gemini, which is just really opening up globally. Like they're just expanding onto Australia, like as we speak. But like Gemini was like purely a US based exchange, and they're doing all right,
Yeah, I mean like it's still. I mean it's a huge consumer economy. 350 million people. It's a large market, but for innovation for investors, it's just it's becoming not a great place to be. And so I recently became a resident of Puerto Rico, because the taxation situation in the United States is just really screwed up, and a lot of people have. There's it's like Crypto Rico now, which I think the governor got mad at us for saying Puerto Crypto. That's what
Puerto
he got.
Crypto.
Porta
okay,
Crypto.
I like that more.
They got mad at us for doing that, but then the governor got mad at us for saying Porta Crypto, but then the people manually overthrew the governor. Like, did you see all those protests?
No.
Yeah. I mean,
like anything you tell me about Puerto Rico, tell me, because I've been, I'm closed off.
Like 500,000 people showed up on the governor's mansion's lawn, and they did weeks of protest, and they got on the interstate and shut the whole interstate down in San Juan, and get out.
Is this post hurricane?
Oh yeah. This is like 2 months ago.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it's like pretty recent. But and then the governor was like, I will not resign. Yeah, he resigned. They're just like, yeah, no, you got to go, buddy.
Just over that.
So maybe we can say Puerto Crypto again.
Because awesome. Puerto Crypto, that sounds like a pirate base. I love it. Sounds like a fort.
Puerto Crypto.
So let's talk Puerto Rico actually a bit more, because we talked. So Jason flew in 2 days ago, and we've been talking every day and just chilling in the evening, just having drinks, having dinner. And we were talking about this, obviously Puerto Rico being an island and Malta being an island, and we're drawing a lot of comparisons. And from our discussions, it really looks like that everything that Malta is trying to become, Puerto Rico is doing, but on the down low, without the PR. They're just they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, I don't think they need the PR. I think that because Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so I can still hold a U.S. passport and be there. But they have these two things: Act 20, Act 22. Act 20 is the corporate special economics, and then Act 22 is personal. I think that's right. I might have just reflected, but I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Right.
But so for corporations, it's just flat 4% tax, which is flat 4% tax, and then 0% on dividends. So I mean, it's really, really nice. And then for personal, it's no capital gains tax. And so that makes
Florida style.
Yeah, but you don't have to pay federal taxes in Puerto Rico,
exactly.
right? So you just pay Puerto Rican taxes, and the Puerto Rican government says, you don't have to pay capital gains tax on trades that you make after you move to Puerto Rico.
Really funny. It's what it sounds like is Puerto Rico has all the upside of not being a state, and like very little of the downside.
Well, the downside,
which is totally different than DC, because DC has all the downside of not being a state and little of the upside.
Well, there's a lot of downside. It's like, they don't get nearly as much funding, right? And so like that's where, like, when the hurricane hit, like it's hard for them to get their infrastructure back because they didn't have. So that's why the special economic zone.
Trump gave them paper towels. What do you want?
Yeah, man, he just left them on the runway and took off. It was great. Crypto trading in the United States is like everybody got really hamstrung because they've we have all these sort of like a lot of times opposing viewpoints from different regulators on how things are working. But like currently right now, if I trade, Bitcoin into Ethereum, like as soon as I do that trade, it's a taxable event.
Which is crazy.
Which is nuts. Because it's like, you would think, like kind for like kind. It's like, it's not that way if I'm like trading stocks or anything like that. But yeah, but so like it's, as soon as I trade, like it's, that's a capital gains.
Is there any change on the horizon for that? Because it seems ridiculous.
No, it's really bad. But we've got so many other problems, so it's kind of far down the list. But Puerto Rico, with no capital gains on personal income, like it's basically the only place you can legally trade crypto without it, and it'd still be profitable for you to do it. Is if you're a Puerto Rican resident.
Did you see recently? This came out after the second Zuckerberg Congress hearing about Libra. One of the representatives from Texas, they proposed a bill, and they want all stablecoins to be treated as securities.
Man, say what you want about Mark Zuckerberg, and obviously Facebook's had some data issues and things like that, but like those hearings are painful to watch,
they're
man.
So painful.
I mean, it's really like
those people are representing us.
It's like your angry grandma like yelling at you about Twitter. Like it's just like people that fundamentally do not understand the business that you're in, just like scolding you, and it's painful to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw in the first time he was grilled there, and I have no idea because I'm an anarchist. I don't believe the government does anything well, so I don't really get involved. But man, I was watching this thing because it was hilarious that Zuckerberg was there, and there was it was like one senator held up like a poster board, like a kid would have like at a science project on, right? And he's like, Mr. Zuckerberg, do you recognize these groups? And he just had like the avatar icon from like 12 different Facebook groups. And he's like, Senator, we have 35 million groups or whatever. 300 million groups. Like something. He's like, I have no idea. How the hell? Oh yeah, of course I know these guys. Yeah, we're great friends.
That's Jim. That's Bob.
And I was just like, man, like you really just showed all of your constituents that you don't understand technology at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I mean the questions are just so absurd that they're asking him.
Yeah.
Like, cause like I'm not going to be defending Zuckerberg. I'm not going to be defending Libra. Like that's like. I don't care. I really don't. If they do something cool, if not, I don't care.
I'll defend Libra.
But okay, we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
But just the questions that they're asking him, and
it's
so
so
how
stupid.
do you make your money? Well, Senator, we run ads. It's just like, come on, man. Like the second hearing, the most painful thing is you have some old dude that doesn't understand the internet, doesn't understand Facebook, and he doesn't even know who he's questioning. Because like I remember the second hearing, one of the guys was, Mr. Zuckerman, I have a few questions for you. It's like, come on, like dude, there's one person there. Like you can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah,
like that's just horrible.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, and then you have AOC on the other hand, which like she knows a bit more, like because she's like my age.
Yeah,
but
she's still way out of left field.
But she's using it as a platform to just like beat on the guy and like make a name for herself, because like I think she believes that this is what she has to do now.
Yeah.
It's just it's painful.
Politics is terrible, man.
Defend Libra.
Well, yeah.
Go for it. Everyone I'm talking to defends Libra.
Well, dude, here's the thing: is like, do I think Libra is a good idea in terms of like, do I think that it's like the best kind of cryptocurrency to have? Obviously,
is it a cryptocurrency?
Yeah, it is. It is. But what it is though is it's a great gateway drug, right? Okay. It's a great gateway drug, dude. I mean, like Facebook has billions of users, and
Libra, the marijuana of crypto. You heard it here
first.
It's
true, though, man. And then you'll be in the street mainland in Bitcoin before you know it. You know. But they have billions of users, right? And from their plans, they're taking in, tens, hundreds of billions of dollars in ad revenue, and they can just, they can start enforcing that, everybody on their ad platform uses Libra. And so then you've got, potentially billions of people that are getting used to customarily every day that are both getting paid and paying in Libra. And what's great is if you had third-party exchanges that carry Libra, right? It's like it seems like the best on-ramp into Bitcoin ever, right? Because it's like you'd be like, cool, do you like what you're getting out of Libra? Great, you can do it better. Like you can move.
Yeah, so that's my only, I'm glad you mentioned this, because this is my only it's my main beef with Libra is if they do their marketing just the way that I think Facebook wants to do their marketing, I just don't want the conversation to end up, why do I want Bitcoin? I have Libra. Yeah, that's what I'm scared of.
Yeah, but so the thing is that right now, I mean, we act like people know what Bitcoin is, but they still don't. Right. I mean, they've heard the name, but the average person still doesn't. They don't know anything about the technology. They don't know what's behind it because they don't have any reason to. Right. But, as soon as one of the largest companies in the world mandates and it becomes the coin of the realm for Facebook, it'd be a huge reason for a lot more people to start learning about it. And then, I think one of the arguments for there being, sort of this big batch of different currencies is that they all serve different markets, right? They all have, have different functionalities. And so, that's like Big Brother coin, right? And
Big Brother.
And maybe that's your thing. Maybe you don't care about your privacy and you don't care.
Do you want Bitcoin, but you miss the invigilation and, just
do you want do you want cryptocurrency, but you still want to make sure that you're tracked really heavily?
Yeah.
Libra, we're here for you. But I think that will be the largest on-ramp into mainstream cryptocurrencies that will ever, if that ever happens, or when that happens, and it might not be Libra that does it, right? Because Xi Jinping, China's looking at doing it, and everybody and their mom wants a stable coin now.
Yeah.
It's.
I have a feeling Justin Sun's going to launch Libra faster than Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Dude, it's so funny.
We call it the Fibra, and it's better.
It's so funny, man, is that we haven't talked about this yet, but so I just finished running across the country.
Right. Oh, because I wanted to do this chronologically, and I wanted to start with Bitcoin across America circa 2014.
Yeah.
And we jumped the gun on that.
Yeah. So in 2014, I ran from Miami Beach to San Francisco on foot, like Forrest Gump. I shaved the day before that run, and I haven't shaved since. And so I ran 3,237 miles. But I remember meeting Reeve Collins, who is the founder of Tether, and him pitching me Tether at this place called Bitropolis. There used to be a blockchain co-working space in Santa Monica, and so when I hit the Pacific Ocean in Santa Monica, and I remember Reeve pitching this to me, and I remember being like, I don't get this. This seems really dumb. Bitcoin does all this stuff better, and I just didn't get what the value of a stablecoin was. And then I saw it in action, right? And then I was like, oh damn! You can hedge against you can hedge against volatility without having to leave the ecosystem.
Exactly.
And man, yeah, talk about just like a duh moment, because
especially with fiats being so
and man, what was the
inaccessible? In
the initial
days.
name for Tether wasn't Tether. It was something silly, like peg coin or something. It was something silly, and then
that sounds mildly sexual.
I think it wasn't peg coin. That would be terrible.
That would be so
bad.
And
I think Brock actually came up with the name Tether when Brock got involved with the project. But then and then now it's
the stable coin.
It's the stable coin, right? Billions.
Getting a lot of shit though.
Yeah,
so I was on Data Dash a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And shout out to Nick, great guy, love Nick, amazing person. He's actually going to be on the show. But I was doing the dumb thing and reading the comments on, for the interview I was on. And I got actually into a really good debate with one of Nick's followers. And they were saying the original comment was, I wish you grilled Alex more on the Tether aspect. I was like, well, what's wrong with Tether? Okay, I know the issues with Tether, but what's like your issue with someone using Tether on an exchange? Because I see the value in that.
Right.
Like Tether was actually the second stablecoin that we added, and we when I say we, I say CoinDeal. But the issue there was we wanted to, we first went with
This podcast brought to you by CoinDeal.com.
Yeah, well, the sponsor, yeah. Loosely affiliated. So what we did was we added True USD first.
Okay.
Because this was earlier in the year where like the Tether issues, they come back like every quarter, right? More or less. It's like, is it backed by anything? It's like, oh my God, we're doing this again. And we wanted to be, holier than the Pope, essentially. And like, we're not going to touch that. We're just using, True USD. And then we're like comparing market caps. It's like,
so
guys,
even
it's
compare.
not even, yeah, it's like,
if
you want to use it, use it. If not, don't.
Well,
it's cool.
It kind of goes back to what we were talking about very early in this conversation is that like, the truth is it doesn't matter if it's backed by anything.
Yeah.
It matters if the price stays relatively stable, and it does stay relatively stable.
Yeah.
And like just like the United States dollar, like it's essentially backed by the shared delusion that we have that it's backed by something.
And
right?
it's just so like I really believe that exchanges, the way they operate, like if someone wants, if you're not breaking any laws, and I mean when I say laws, like especially securities laws, if you're not breaking any securities laws, you should really be able to trade what the people want to trade, like buy, sell, trade, whatever, hold. It doesn't matter. Because if we start to scrutinize like everything that, if I made an exchange that only had coins I don't have an issue with, this would be like Bitcoin, Ether, Zcash, Monero, and Nano, pretty much.
I've got plenty of problems with Ether.
Yeah, okay. But like,
no, but so
you know what I mean.
The funniest thing to me is that in the case of Tether, it being backed by anything, I really just don't think that it matters at all. Because like, if you've read the terms of service, like your redemption ability, I mean, it's like the most convoluted thing. Like, I think it's like if you're a Singapore resident, and I'm going to screw this all up, and I'm probably screwing the jurisdictions, and this is all hyperbole, but it's similar to this. It's like, so like, and if you come on the third Wednesday of the month between 2 and 2:14, I mean, it was like your ability to redeem it for like the value behind it is like nil. Right. So it's like, so who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. All that matters is if people like are treating it like it's a US dollar.
Yeah.
And they do.
It serves the use case that it was created for.
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing less, really, nothing really more.
Yeah, and and man, have you ever met Craig Sellers?
No, I haven't.
So Craig was the CTO.
Yeah.
He left the project a while ago, but man,
Craig is a good buddy of yours, right?
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, but he's just one of the most intelligent guys in the whole space. And like, he's one of these guys that like looks at blockchain like Mozart looked at a piano. And it's just like he starts talking, and I'm like, dude, how do you even come up with this stuff, man? Like, I think that I know a little bit about blockchain. And then you just start talking, and like he talks about blockchain as a living organism, and like literally like my mind explodes. Damn. It's crazy. He's brilliant. He's Puerto Rican. I mean, he lives in Puerto Rico now.
He is now Puerto Rican.
He is. He's a
we'll have this conversation in a year. We're all
new
going to be Puerto Rican.
Yeah, we're all this podcast will probably be in Puerto Rico in a year.
I love that. Man,
SideChain live from San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, coming this
it's
January.
A lot warmer
Let's do
than
that.
Wroclaw.
Let's do this. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Live on the air. We're doing this show live from Puerto Rico in January.
Do it. We'll get Brock on.
We'll do like a marathon.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Adam, you're coming. Sound engineer. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna twist his arm to get him to go to Puerto Rico
God,
in January.
Puerto Rico in January.
Because I'm sure Poland is delightful in January.
Yes.
I'm from Florida, man. This is already too cold for me, and you say it gets a lot worse. So it's bad.
Yeah, it gets a lot worse.
Yeah.
Why do you think that? But it's perfect. It's we're in a great business. Like all these conferences I need to attend. Like, oh no, it's raining and like negative 10 degrees. Guess I gotta go to Singapore.
Yeah, man, I love Singapore. I'll be there next week.
Or this week when this comes out.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not going to Singapore. I was just in Singapore a month and a half ago.
I'm not going to Singapore.
No, it's like...
It's because you can't bring your vape.
Yeah, so if you're going to Singapore, they're going to take your vape. You can't vape in Singapore.
Yeah.
Not that I vape. by no means. That thing's gonna kill you. But actually, let's talk about conferences, because like we've been in this space for a bit, and we've seen the 20 people conferences, we've seen the 20,000 people conferences, but. And I've been saying this for the past month. If someone coined it before me, then cool. But if not, I'm totally taking credit for it. I'm for the last month, I've been saying that I feel as if there was a larger bubble for crypto conferences than there was a speculative bubble on the actual cryptocurrencies as an asset.
It was so nuts, right? Because I was in the industry for years before we had like any kind of event.
You're like small meetups.
Yeah, no, and like the first Bitcoin meetup I went was like in the basement of a church in San Francisco, and there were like 17 dudes. Like, I mean, it was like that was like the first one.
Hi, my name's Jonathan.
Yeah,
I've been on crypto this past year.
It's very, very similar to an AA meeting. Yeah, very, very much. And then 2012, 2013 is really when we started getting like the first like real crypto conferences. And then like last year it was like, and then it was like there was a couple of them a year, and then like last year it started being like there's one every day somewhere. Yeah, and it was just absurd. And they all just lie, and they're so bad. I remember seeing, and I won't name any names, but I remember seeing ads for a crypto conference, and they're like, "We're sold out. We've completely everything's sold. Like it's the most
100,000 tickets."
Yeah,
sold.
and then like I didn't even go in. I like went by the venue, and there were like legitimately like 20 people in this place, and they were like, there's thousands of tickets are sold. And I was like, sounds like a class action lawsuit from your sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we were writing each other on Facebook last year when I was in Barcelona, and that's when I was in Barcelona, and you and I were talking, and I was flying out, and you actually made me fly out to LA like 2 days after to meet up with you and Alex Lightman, our mutual friend. And I remember telling you that, dude, I'm in Barcelona. First of all, it's like October, so it shouldn't be that cold. It's freezing. It's raining. There's supposed to be 17,000 people at this conference, and there's like 1,000.
So I was at that conference the year before, and it was packed. There was I think like 20-something thousand people. It was absurd.
And it was drop-off rate, it was like Bitcoin Cash's value, 97% gone in a year.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh my god! And like, I don't know, man.
Like, did you see the John Oliver like slam on blockchain last year?
Yeah.
So all of his video.
I use his slide. I use
Bitcoin.
Okay, I don't use that slide. No, but you know what slide I use usually when I give keynotes and speeches, and I know it's a mixed group, that it's like people that some of them are in crypto and some of them aren't. One of the first slides I use is John Oliver's face and the quote that cryptocurrencies, it's everything you don't understand about computers mixed with everything you don't understand about money.
Yeah,
it's
but
perfect.
So all of the Brock's like speeches from stage, they're all from that Barcelona conference 2017.
Oh
yeah. I was actually like right off stage like watching that speech, like, and so and it was packed. And then like you told me there's nobody there. I'm like, damn, there was a ton of people here last year, but we had that FOMO, man. 2017 FOMO was like nothing, dude.
Yeah.
It's but it's hard to say crypto winter's good, but there are some benefits to it, right? It's
you're cutting out all the bullshit.
Well, yeah, it's just that like I've been a tech entrepreneur for going on 20 years now.
Your whole life, essentially.
But there's this concept that like don't take investment from don't take dumb money, don't take investment from dumb investors. And man, did we learn that lesson the hard way, right? It's just like, because like everybody and their mom was like, if you didn't make money in 2017, you were doing something really wrong. Yep. Right. And
because there's nothing that wasn't pumping in those days.
Everything was pumping.
You had like $2 million market cap coins that were suddenly 200 million market cap, $200 million market cap
in like a week,
coins.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So but the fallout from that is that all of these people that they're not accredited investors. They're not even. I mean, they shouldn't. They're not really investors. They're gamblers, right?
Yeah.
And then you have people that put they put $100 into something and got $10,000 out of it, right? And like 2 months later, and then they're like that became their bar. Long? It took you 2 weeks.
It took me 48 hours.
Yeah, exactly. But that became their bar for how they evaluated every investment going on in the future, and I was like, guys, like that was a blip in time.
Yeah.
Like that's not how anything works. It's like
It's probably
that's not how
back.
any of this works.
Do you think it's going to come back and we're going to have the exact same issues we had almost 3 years ago?
I think this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think it's probably going to get worse. I think that
because you're going to have a market cap of like $1 trillion probably next bull run.
Well, it's like we still only have like a couple of million people using crypto worldwide, and people don't get that, right? Like you hear a lot of hype, and it's on magazine covers and sports events, all this stuff, right? We're still only talking about a couple of million people out of a planet of 7 billion people.
Yeah.
Where it's like we're not even tipping the needle in terms of like mainstream adoption. Dude, when we just get a fraction of those people, dude, it's every crypto boom and bust cycle. I mean, a lot of it's very, very similar. It's super funny because there was, see if I can even think of the name of this. Man, can't think of the name of it. So there, like in 2011, 2012, there was this, this is going to bother me a lot. But there's this website that was essentially trading stocks that you would invest in, and it was basically just like kind of like a Kickstarter for crypto, right? But it was like investments in companies, and it was super funny because like they had their own token, and you invest in Bitcoin, and like they would pay dividends and stuff like that. But they had like these disclaimers on there that were like, this is all fantasy. None of this is real. And of course, everybody was using it for real. But that's how they did the disclaimer on it.
That's how they slip through the loopholes.
Yeah. But there were all these projects, and some of them became real things, some of them didn't. All this crap. And then like when the ICO boom happened in 2017, it was literally like a lot of these projects. The idea had already been done before. It had been done like 5 years before, 4 years before. And like there was no record of those companies because like we don't have like no one's doing case studies for crypto. So we lost that information, and then people were like, "Oh, I got a great new idea." I was like, "No, it's not really a new idea." Okay, like we tried this 5 years ago. It was a bad idea then. It's a worse idea
know it
now. Yeah,
we're not repeating our mistakes.
Yeah, but it's like, and then they're like, you just saw just terrible ideas getting $10 million. It's just like,
and no MVP.
Yeah, well, I mean, like
a lot of cases.
Do you
know
remember?
nothing.
Like, it was like do nothing Ethereum token or something like that. Yeah. And it was like the guy's
useless
Ethereum token. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
And the guy's like, his white paper was like, this is for me to get a Lambo, and like I'm gonna do nothing. The token does nothing. It's never gonna trade.
And they raised money.
Yeah, and I think they got like $200,000 or something like that. And like the dude,
which is enough for a Lambo.
Yeah, a used one. But who cares?
Successful.
Right? Yeah, and it was like nothing else, dude. It was crazy, and I think we'll have something similar sometime in the future.
Yeah. So my theory, and it's like this is like my crazy, like insider government conspiracy theory, is that the SEC, what they're doing right now is they're trying to hand out as many fines to past ICO projects as possible. Because I think we're on the verge of whether we're on the verge of another bull run or not, like sooner or later there will be another bull run.
Yeah.
And with it, I believe there will be another ICO boom. Despite all the regulatory work that has been done the past 2 years, like I still think it's incoming, and I think they're trying to prevent another shitstorm.
Yeah, I just think that. I mean, if you look back, though, the truth is that most of the investment in the 2017 ICO boom was coming out of Asia. Like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of Americans involved, right? But
illegally.
I think that's such a funny thing about the Block 1 thing, right? Is that it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've got one of the initial Block 1 EOS T-shirts, and the back of the shirt is a disclaimer saying like, it's like this sale is not open to U.S. resident, and it's like they printed it on T-shirts, and I remember it was like so ironic because like at Consensus in 2017 they were advertising in Times Square, right? They were advertising on the NASDAQ building. They had like huge trucks with Brock's face on them traveling around New York, and then they would like pop up the disclaimer that's like not open to U.S. markets, right? But I really think that saved their ass. I really think that that's why a $25 million fine seems like a lot to you and me, but on a $4 billion raise, that's
yeah. I mean, it's like the percentage. It's like it comes out to 0.06.
I mean,
it's like less than a percent.
But I really think that them being so, and obviously people in the U.S. still got in. Obviously people use VPNs to bypass geographic fencing and stuff like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it just the box like I certify that I'm not an American citizen?
Yeah, but they closed it down to U.S. based IPs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like
so
you did have to do VPN or something
which
like that.
people in crypto probably most people have VPNs.
Not that I know anything about that. Not that I would encourage
you
that
were
behavior.
not a participant. You heard this from a friend.
But I think that them being proactive in that, I think it really helped them a whole lot. And I'm sure that made the case a lot more difficult for them to get slammed really hard because I wouldn't have been surprised if they got hit with like $1 billion fine or something like that, But 25 mil on $4 billion. I mean, everyone's going to take that deal.
I'm just scared. Like, I'm very happy that the fines are not getting too crazy. I think there was one project that they raised like 140K USD and they got fined like 200K. So it was like a little excessive. I may be mixing something up, but it was something in that ballpark. But like, I'm just very glad that we're not setting a precedent of like EOS raising $4 billion and then being fined like $3 billion. Yeah. Like, I think that would be a horrible precedent to set. And the US loves its precedents.
I think Block One did a really responsible sale, and like we can argue all day long whether they needed to raise $4 billion or not, right? But the truth is that when you're raising money, raise as much money as you can.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's not whether they needed it. It's
but they
that's the value of the project.
Yeah,
people invested in it and they kept putting money in. So it's the people have spoken.
Yeah, they blocked U.S. investors, and like they had a really easy sale, and they did a really great job marketing it. And I think they should kind of be held up as the gold standard. For
and that model was
goes.
Amazing.
Oh, so it was
got
great.
So much crap, but it was such a great model.
It was. I agree completely. Now, I wish they would spend some of that money on updating their infrastructure so we can get this backlog cleared out in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
But I think Block One's done a lot of really, really great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but they are getting a lot of flack for just the like recently the changes to the block producers and to actually like getting EOS back. If you're a block producer, I know that a lot of block producers are they're essentially feeling cheated.
Yeah.
There's some issues with EOS as a blockchain. Actually, I was quoted one of the things I did an interview for some news portal. I apologize. I just don't remember at the beginning of this year, and they were asking my opinions for the biggest stuff that happened in crypto in 2018, and like the thing that I said was the launching of the EOS blockchain.
Yeah,
and my comparison was that like you have addresses that are real words, it's not 0x4a, this alphanumeric mumbo jumbo that you can't explain to your mom. But if I told my mom like, hey, just like I think I have one EOS address that's just Alex. I think it might be Alex and part of my last name, but like I can send that to my mom and she can just
send some EOS to Alex and see if it's a real
and
thing.
see if it comes out.
Yeah.
It might be STRZ. It might be Alex STRZ because I know I have a few. I just like took all the ones I liked, but like you can like I can explain that to my mom. I can tell her like, hey, you can use parts of your name or some digits that you're going to remember, and it's not like no one like maybe except like Vitalik, like no one remembers their public address for Ethereum. Like there's no way. There's just it's such bullshit. And like I actually compare this another unpopular opinion that I have because there's always people comparing blockchain and crypto to the development of the internet, right? Yeah. And where we have this obsession like currently we're in 1995 and they're trying to draw comparisons between what's going on now in the user base and the accessibility and what it was in 92 for the internet and 95 in the internet. And I actually think we're like, if we're going to use this analogy, I think we're like late 80s.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better. I think that's probably. I think
we're still in the day of I think we're
We don't have usability nailed yet.
What we're doing right now is we're essentially sending an email using a C compiler. Like we're not, like this is where we're at right now.
Yeah. Like we're working up towards like Windows 3.1. Yeah. To like a decent user interface.
Yeah. Because like it's. Explain, like if I would have to explain this to like my parents or my uncle or whatever, like this is
it's not a nightmare. Yeah, it's crazy.
Or like explain having your fiat in a bank account and getting Bitcoin. Explain that arduous process to them. Like I don't have a weekend to explain everything.
It's true, but
horrible.
or you just tell them that you can just meet a shady guy in an alley and give him cash and you can get Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think we're those days might be coming to an end as well.
I had a friend who did a local Bitcoins transaction in the Netherlands, and like the dude like tried to give him like an envelope full of like cut up magazine pieces, like instead of cash, and then like and like it was just like a whole like a Laurel and Hardy sketch.
Did you hear the guy in Manhattan in 2017, and he was selling people Chuck E. Cheese tokens, saying it was Bitcoin.
Yeah,
and he actually sold a few.
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. Yeah, scratched off Chuck E. Cheese tokens. If you don't know what Chuck E. Cheese is, it's like a pizza parlor arcade for kids in the United States.
Old school.
Yeah, old school.
But that's one of the issues I have with every article that comes out about Bitcoin or Ether for that matter, is that they use like, how can we explain? So it's this digital currency. So we're just going to put this, freaking like piece of, like, it has coin in the name. We're just going to use a coin with a logo, and it's going to like
the best
look like a computer chip.
The best description is what you already said. It's everything you don't understand about technology based with everything that you don't understand about finance.
It's exactly what it is, and it's just so problematic. So what do you think are the biggest blockers in terms of mass adoption right now?
I think usability is massive. Mm-hmm. I think that it's still so cumbersome for anyone to get a hold of anything, right? I think Square in the United States has done a really great job of implementing it into the Cash App.
Yep.
I think that's like something like that on a mass scale with marketing behind it, I think would do really. We were talking about this, like I think that like a retail app for like super easily getting a hold of crypto, at least be able to get Bitcoin ETH, I think that's massive. But it's the things that you're saying. It's that like, your Bitcoin address it's not memorizable, and like that's a huge bar to entry, and most of the, even like the blockchain 2.0, 3.0 stuff, it's just like the usability is not there. It's like
block lattice.
I don't get the joke.
No, block lattice. It's block lattice technology.
Oh,
there's this whole meme going that it's block lattice technology.
That's funny.
Blockchain 2.0. Yeah. So my issue with this is, when we talk about mass adoption, so there's this, I feel like there's this dichotomy in the crypto world where on one hand we're talking mass adoption, and on the other hand we're talking like stuff that is not really gonna like DEXs, right? Decentralized exchanges. Like we're taking something niche, which crypto is still pretty niche, and we're taking something that is super niche within the niche, and talking DEXs, right? And now people that are like, okay, first of all the power to you guys doing kick-ass protocols, working on blockchain, doing, I talked to the guys from Aleph Zero. They're doing, as I mentioned, DEXs 2.0. They're doing decentralized dark pools, decentralized OTC, and like they're just doing amazing stuff. But there's this issue. On one hand, we're crying about mass adoption, and on the other hand, we're doing stuff that's so niche that will not contribute to mass adoption,
excluding massive people from it. But the thing is that like those things aren't mutually exclusive. Right?
Very true. Absolutely.
I agree. Like a bunch of us can do a lot of work on like getting mass adoption for cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and I think there's a lot of work going into that space. I think that what Kingsland's doing like with education, I think is like massive in terms of like getting more people trained up for the industry, and like we do a lot of stuff with like blockchain executive education. I think that's massive. I think for all of their faults, I think Coinbase has done probably more than any other company in the world for like increasing the household name of
Just
Bitcoin.
The app, man. The app was a game changer.
It was. It's so funny though, because like when Coinbase first came out, people don't remember this, but when Coinbase first came out, their marketing was like, "Hey, like get a different Coinbase account for every email address that you have." Right? And like now they're like KYC AML requirements. They're like so heavy, but like, dude, there was a time when I had like 15 Coinbase accounts because it was like if I was starting a new project, I would just open a new email address and open a new Coinbase account, and actually like Like a couple of years ago when Bitcoin like broke 3,000 for the first time, Craig Sellers and I were in Tel Aviv, and we both remembered that and we're like, dude, I probably have coins. And then we were just like going through Aldi and we're like, oh crap, like I have like $2,000 in this account. Like, but like when I put it in there, it wasn't even worth moving out of the account.
Imagine what's going to
like
happen
dust.
in 10 years, like how much stuff you're going to forget.
Yeah,
Like I found some old wallets recently.
How many coins are you going to lose because you totally forgot about them?
So right now it's supposedly, I don't know how they worked up to this, but supposedly it's like 3 million Bitcoin are permanently lost. Like we will not gain access to them.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know how you're going to really determine that.
Yeah, that's my issue with that as well. But it makes sense that there's at least minimum, I would say, a few thousand, if not a few 100,000 Bitcoin that's like totally lost.
Easy. Yeah, easy.
Just like, mining it. Like there's people that have mined like a ton of it, and they're just like, there's stories that like somebody's wife, some dude's wife just told him like, throw out this computer, it's junk, and he has like 80,000 Bitcoin on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like there's a lot of, like in 2011, like people think about crashes now, right? Yeah. But in 2011, the price went to like $32 and then crashed to like 73 cents. Yeah. Like that's like right when we like stopped hanging out like a little bit, and like I had a decent amount of crypto and like at the time, and I like that's why I'm so okay with crashes now, because like the crash in 2011 like broke me. I was just like, I didn't go outside for like a month. I was just like, you have
your world is in shambles. You have this cool thing that you really believe in, and suddenly
yeah, I mean, like
it almost disappears.
Yeah, going down from like 37 to sub $1, right? That's why like I can't get mad for like 10,000 to 9,000. Like it just, I can't
you're still
be upset.
Way ahead.
Yeah, and people are just they're just like, yeah, it's so volatile. Like, fuck you don't know anything about volatility, dude. Like I've been here before. It comes back.
Exactly.
Cycle. Yeah.
I mean, like that's one thing, and this is something that I keep on repeating. Like if we look at the 10-year chart, like just hold on for a second.
Just hang out.
You will be totally fine. Just don't think week to week or month to month. Like if you don't need this money, then you're totally fine. Like you'll be okay. You want to take a quick break?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay, so we didn't take a break. Everybody watching, our water glasses just magically refilled themselves.
Yeah,
we were here the whole time.
The CIA just cut all that content out. We were just talking about stuff that was too.
Talk about the CIA.
Hi CIA, how are you?
I think I'm more worried about the NSA than the CIA.
Yeah,
man, I've been listening to Snowden too much, man. Every time I listen to Snowden, I go on and I buy more Zcash. Like, my paranoia kicks in. I'm like, Bitcoin isn't safe anymore. I gotta buy Zcash. I gotta go Monero.
Shout out to Fluffy Pony.
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely. And Zuko.
Zuko's great.
He's a G, man.
Yeah,
dude, one of the
like
happiest...
one of my favorite people, man. Fluffy Pony. Yeah, Ricardo. Yeah, he's like, man, just such a joy to hang out with. He's just.
I've heard actually our mutual friend Adela, like she was supposed to introduce me to him back in May at Consensus because he was there, and we got our wires crossed. Like I didn't even I was in New York. I saw Adela in DC, and we were supposed to meet in New York, and like we just didn't find the time because
Adela from Oster and McBride Law Firm in Washington D.C.
Shout out to Steve and David,
the Crypto Kings Law Firm. Yeah,
crypto and cannabis.
Yeah, they're
man.
On top of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I can disclose. Like I don't think I can talk too much, but like. Love those guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Fantastic.
Yeah. They're some of the best people I know, like in the space. Some of the best
welcome.
lawyers. Oh yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. That everybody using CoinDeal in the U.S. in the next few weeks, you can thank Jason for that. A lot of hookups there.
Yeah, man. Just doing what I can.
Yeah. So we were talking about mass adoption.
Yeah.
And I just want to get your thoughts on a few different subjects.
Sure.
So right now, I feel a lot of the Bitcoin skeptics, they kind of changed their narrative, and they're like, because the last 2 years they're like, okay, Bitcoin may not be here to stay. And right now they kind of changed their narrative and they're saying, okay, Bitcoin may be here to stay, but when we hit mass adoption, Bitcoin will not be what causes mass adoption. And I think that's kind of the issues I have with Libra, because they're kind of jumping on the Libra bandwagon. It's like, it's going to be better than Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, better than Bitcoin in what way? Like in terms of like that it's going to have more users, that's totally possible,
Yeah.
you know? But I mean, in terms of technology better, no, not even remotely close.
And that's one of the things that like I keep saying is that, you know, because there's a lot of talk about scaling and stuff of that nature. And I keep repeating, like, if Bitcoin keeps doing what it's doing, like, we'll be more than fine. And 90% of the projects that are just simply another form of payment, like, they're just going to die off. Because Bitcoin, like, people need to understand that Bitcoin is not now what it was 5 or 10 years ago. I think in 2013, if anyone's listening, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but you could actually not send over the Bitcoin blockchain an amount less than like 0.0001 BTC.
I have no idea.
Yeah, like I'm 99%. I may be wrong on the year, or maybe I'm wrong by 1-0, but it's something along those lines. So people need to understand that Bitcoin is continuously developing and changing and improving. So that's why I'm a big believer in Bitcoin, and you know, whether it's an issue of scalability or adoption, like I think we're going to overcome it with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's still going to be king.
I just think that Bitcoin's the most secure blockchain by a large margin.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think it's you know, economies of scale. Like it's just like we've got a massive lead with Bitcoin, and I think it's, you know, I think it's a better blockchain. But I think there will always be room for others. Like I think that, you know, just like we have lots of world currencies that get used every day, I think it'll be the same thing in crypto. I just think that we can end some of these stupid like fake lines on the ground in terms of like, you know, no, you can't move. Yeah, you have value, but you can't move it across this line.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
One of the big things
I wish we would get an alien invasion. I wish aliens would just show up and it would just like galvanize everybody to like stop caring about the stupid shit that we care about, and then
like borders.
Yeah, exactly.
Geopolitics.
Like, yeah, it's, you know, we just need a mass event like that. To like just be like, oh yeah, all this stuff's real dumb. Like we should probably worry about, you know.
That's one of the things that like I actually feel really happy about the way that I was brought up, and the fact that I'm a dual citizen is like I've never felt firmly either an American or like 100% Polish. Like I feel like somewhere in between. So like smack dab in the Atlantic, you know.
Dude,
it's just
something like only 27% of Americans have a passport. I mean, it's like something abysmal, right?
Yeah,
it's like it's something terrible. It's, you know, I've got 3 kids, and just early on, I started taking them around the world with me, just because I think that just travel is just like it's so important to like not becoming a bigoted piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know really a better way to put that. But yeah, I'm taking my kids to Asia next week.
Beautiful.
Like I'm leaving here, going back, picking them up, going to Singapore.
So cool.
Yeah. Because it's just like once you meet other people, you realize we're really just people. Yeah. And even if our countries don't get along, that's not really us. That's really like our idiot puppet governments.
Yeah, I think there should be like a mandatory minimum for travel if you're a politician.
Yeah. Like man, it's so terrible, you know. But
yeah,
travel just fixes everything.
Close-minded.
Yeah, I mean, wherever you are, you know.
Yeah, different people doing different, you know, stuff in a different way. Like we just get really set in the way that we're doing it. It's like, it's no excuse. If someone asks you why are you doing this specific thing in this one way, and the answer is we've always done it this way, like that's how you know that you're dealing with some bullshit.
It was super funny. Is that the first time I was ever in Barcelona was actually for that conference that we were talking about earlier, and it was during the Catalonian revolt. And so like I was in Ibiza and I was flying to Barcelona, and my mom called me. My mom like never calls me. My mom's like, you shouldn't go to Barcelona. Like it's like riots in the streets. It's like anarchy. It's gonna be crazy. I'm like, Mom, if it's anarchy, it's great. It's gonna be
and Jason's like, then I am going there faster.
Yeah, no. And and like a bunch of people were just like, it's gonna be terrible. Like none of the services is gonna be working. Like the government's not working. It's gonna be crazy. And like, it was great. Like it showed up, like everything worked, because it's like people confuse like an economy with a government, right? And it's like like the economy keeps moving, you know, like you know, like they're like, you're not gonna be able to get taxis. There were taxis. It was like, you know, they don't allow Uber, so you had to use like a weird like app to call a taxi that's only in Barcelona, but like that would have been there with or without the government. And I had a great time in Barcelona, and you know there was no government in operation. It was fun.
And that's another thing, is confusing correlation with causality.
For sure.
Right, because like, you know, there's a lot of governments that are doing like a terrible job, and people are saying, well, you know, but the economy's going strong. It's like, yeah, but it's doing well despite despite the current government, not because of the current government.
Right.
So that's another big thing. I want to jump into something that you just touched upon briefly some time back. What are your problems with Ethereum?
I think that
putting you on the spot.
No, it's fine. I just think that they have a problem getting their shit together, and it's just such a fractured ecosystem. And I just feel like back in the day, Ether was something everybody could get behind, and they really had a clear roadmap for what they were going to do and how they were going to execute. And it seems like they're just not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, Ethereum 2.0 has become like this hot topic, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people, talking like really badly about Ethereum 2.0.
Yeah, but I mean, Vitalik is hands down one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. And he
was at the finish line of Bitcoin across America back in 2014.
He was indeed, yeah.
Like pre-Ethereum, right? It was in development. It wasn't out yet.
Yeah, it was. So I finished the month before they started the crowd sale. Okay. So I finished in actually
the original ICO.
I finished in July. So I finished the month that the ICO the first crowd sale for Ethereum.
I mean, it's so funny that it's it was like the first ICO.
No, Mastercoin.
Oh, Mastercoin. Yeah.
Mastercoin did it, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Craig Sellers.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. But Craig was the CTO of Mastercoin.
Very true. Very true.
So,
and conducted in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Which is funny too.
So was Ethereum.
Yeah, so was Ethereum. That's exactly.
And that's what people don't get, right? Is people are like, yeah, blockchain's great, but it's not Bitcoin. I'm like, dude, there is no blockchain without Bitcoin. Bitcoin's how we got into everything.
Andreas Antonopoulos' analogy is, I think it's so on the point. Because all of these, and it's usually the big institutions that are saying like, we're not sold on Bitcoin, but blockchain is something we can get behind. And it's like he compared it to the internal combustion engine, the development of the internal combustion engine, and people using the combustion engine in cars and saying, you know what? This car thing, I'm not so sure about that, but the rubber tire is where it's at,
Yeah.
Like, I think that's so on the point. With comparing Bitcoin and blockchain.
It's funny when I first got into the blockchain, when I first started speaking conferences and stuff, I was almost always on panels with Andreas. And then Andreas just became a superstar, and I'm just me,
Oh, humble Jason King. Yeah. I don't think so. That's not how this works.
No,
I see
it's
it in
true
a different
though.
light.
Yeah,
but
Andreas is fantastic.
Oh, he's amazing. He's doing a lot of good for the space.
I think like I said, I think Coinbase has done more than any company for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
I think hands down Andreas has done more than any individual for adoption.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's just the breadth of information. I mean, he's got thousands of videos, and he's just so prolific.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
And I don't agree with him on everything, but the dude puts out information. It is all really great.
He's doing his part.
And you know what Andreas does better than anybody is he'll take an unbelievably complex topic and he'll just talk to you about it like you're 5.
Yeah.
And you can
but not in a patronizing
no, not in a patronizing way at all.
Yeah.
But in the hey, this is all this is.
Yeah.
And he's just, man, he has the ability to do that better than anybody.
He's a great
else.
educator.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Internet of Money.
Internet of Money.
Great book.
Yeah.
It's basically a collection of his keynotes and talks. It's on Kindle. I highly recommend it. There's 2 parts. Absolutely amazing. Mastering Bitcoin, another book by Andreas.
Yeah.
Also highly recommend it.
So, funny story, when Mastering Bitcoin came out on O'Reilly, he would do signed copies of the book for anyone that donated to Sean's Outpost.
Really?
Yeah,
man.
He did. Yeah,
that's
really cool.
Okay, so shout out to Andreas as well for being a true gentleman and a scholar.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude. And we're both pilots. He was.
Oh, right. I remember your journey when you started, because we've been friends obviously on Facebook and everywhere else for a long, long time. And I remember your journey from the courses to getting your license
to getting my own plane.
Yeah, and to getting your own plane.
Yeah.
Gonna crop dust your own crops.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. So I owned a plane with. His name is Michael Tanzoni. I won't even say he has a Russian last name, and somebody told him that that he would get treated poorly with a Russian last name in business, so he changed it to Michael Tanzoni. Which
interesting choice.
I agree. Anyway, love him to death. But anyway, we got to play together, and then we were talking about buying another plane together, and I told him about this aircraft called the Velocity, which is like just this killer plane. But like you actually build it yourself, and it's like a really cool process. It's like you have to legally build 51% of it, so it's like the manufacturer like helps you with like the engine and does like a lot of the like heavy lifting, and then like you kind of clean it up at the end. And we were gonna go in on this together, and then like in 2017, like Bitcoin went on a tear. He's like, "Hey man, I'm just gonna buy my own." But he just finished it. So like this dude built an aircraft by hand.
Jeez.
Which and it's sick. It's such an. I haven't ridden it yet, but he's gonna take me up. But it's man, it's so nice. It looks like a jet. It looks like a spaceship, dude. It's like a rear swept wing with a front canard. It's so nice.
If you hear that, kids, go into crypto, you'll have multiple planes.
Yeah, but it was super funny. Like I think that he got a little too excited flying his new airplane and was flying it in some marginal conditions. I think he got scared. Because he just hasn't have a lot of stick time behind it yet. So he was actually going to fly across the country to meet me at the finish line for blockchain across America. He's like, "Hey, I don't think I'm going to be flying across the country right now." And I was like, "That's probably a wise idea."
Let's talk blockchain across America, because obviously you did Bitcoin across America back in 2014, and you recently finished blockchain across America. So you drank the institutional Kool-Aid, dropping the Bitcoin, going making a blockchain.
Well, dude,
doing it PG.
in 2014, because like before Ethereum, because the crowdsource wasn't until July, and I started in January 2014. Like Bitcoin was the industry. Like I mean, there were a couple other projects, right? But I mean, it was really Bitcoin. Like that's all it was. And now fundamentally it's blockchain now. Like and
block lettuce.
Even even apart from like cryptocurrencies, like blockchain is like it's revolutionizing every industry. It's like Walmart. Walmart mandated that all of their agricultural sales be on their blockchain supply chain, and like that mandate went into effect in September. So it's not like sometime in the future they're going to do this. It's
No.
If you want to sell agricultural products to Walmart, you have to use their blockchain. That's massive, dude. And
that's not getting a lot of news time actually. You got to do some digging. Like this was not front page news.
Well, so
when it happened.
But what's great about that, you're right, and it should have gotten more, and we could have done better for it. But what's cool is like that's really where the blockchain mass adoption is going to come from.
Real world use cases.
Is that like it's not a press release. It's that like, look, we got millions of suppliers are now going to have to use this. That's really where the stuff's going to come from. I agree. Yeah, and it's changing so much stuff like that. Yeah.
My only issue with this is, and like it's not like I agree. Like this is where adoption comes in, and there's a lot of cool players that are doing stuff that involves blockchain. My only issue is talking down Bitcoin in favor of blockchain. And a lot of and I still believe that the best use for blockchain as of recording this, in the first weeks of November 2019, it's money. It's currency.
I think it's cats on the blockchain.
Oh man, I still have my crypto kitties. I have them, and this is a really funny story. I'm glad you mentioned this. So back when CryptoKitties came out, and this is I think it's already 2018. No, is it 2017 December, or is it
before
January
2017?
Yeah. Okay, so like
maybe 2016.
Okay, so when the CryptoKitties boom, whenever that was,
2017. That's when you couldn't make transactions. On Ethereum.
So I'm on.
That's where EOS is right now. EOS is having their CryptoKitties moment right now. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Like you can't move on the blockchain. Like it's it's you have to stake like an astronomical amount of tokens right now because there's so much congestion. Which is funny because like EOS's whole thing
delegated
is like
proof of stake.
Yeah,
it's
like
totally
it's supposed to be. Yeah, but like
Ethereum killer.
Yeah, they have a massive RAM problem right now.
So I'll just finish my story really quickly because like I think it's pretty funny. So I have my MetaMask set up. I have some Ether there. I go onto CryptoKitties website. I'm like, I just want to see what this is about, right? Like, I just want to see the flow. I want to see if there's actually going to be like people using this. Like, what's the scale? Because if it's complicated, then obviously people are not going to go there. So I want to buy a CryptoKitty, right? I sign the contract, like I do everything, and it's like there's no information in my MetaMask. Like the Ether is still there. There's no transaction pending. I'm like, oh my God, like, is this like a UI issue on the website? Like, I'm not getting this, right? So I keep on clicking. I close my computer. I come back and suddenly I'm down like 5 Ether.
You just sent
and I have like 50 CryptoKitties on my account. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. And this is back when Ether was kind of expensive.
Yeah, so that's probably worked out for you. Like those early CryptoKitties are worth money. No?
I still have them.
You didn't sell them at the peak of the boom?
No, I couldn't. It's like I used to laugh. I had this joke from like 2-3 years ago that the safest exchange was Kraken back with in the boom.
Because you couldn't withdraw.
Because you couldn't log in.
Yeah.
Like you got a bad gateway error every time you wanted to log in.
Yeah.
So like it's the same with CryptoKitties. Like I can't even sell it.
Jesse, I love you, Kraken. You guys are great.
Oh no, Kraken is absolutely like Kraken. Like we can nerd out and like have a little love fest about Kraken. Like I think Kraken is one of the best exchanges. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I think that Kraken is one of the few players that has been here for years that hasn't had their reputation tarnished by a sketchy acquisition or, shortchanging their users.
Or getting hacked.
Yeah.
There's no like, Kraken IOU token.
You know what? If I had to say, I'd say that Kraken's right up there with CoinDeal. Like I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. No, but I love Jesse, man. Like I think he's doing an amazing job.
Yeah,
I love the people at Kraken. Like
yeah,
really,
they're super great. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I was just hanging out with them in Vegas.
I think if you're running a crypto exchange, okay, I don't want to sound like exchanges are the overlords of the market because this isn't 5 years ago, but like I feel that it kind of is a lot of power, and I think it can really corrupt a person because if you do it right, if you're like one of the top 20 exchanges, first of all, it's a lot of money, and you become this gatekeeper on both sides because you're like, okay, these are the tokens that I will allow. You, and you. The rest can just go away, and these are the users that I will allow. And this is the way that they can buy these tokens. So like you're controlling like the on and off ramps in crypto for fiat, for crypto,
it's
for
a huge
everything.
Responsibility.
Yeah, and I think it's like we're coming to this point where you see these glorified startups that were like amazing startups that are turning into giant corporations now, and they're struggling to find an identity. And it's going to be really interesting in the next few years to see how that plays out.
Yeah, for sure. I just I wish my country would stop having such archaic blockchain regulation laws. I think that the U.S. has a history of being sort of on the bleeding edge of technology and innovation, and we're just not in blockchain. We're sending all of our business overseas because it's just not a conducive market for the really cutting edge crap because we have idiots in government.
So if you were starting something totally new, I'm not saying exchange, and I know you have started a lot of new things, but a lot of stuff is U.S. based. Where do you think are like the hot jurisdictions for like a crypto startup right now?
Singapore is hot.
True,
yeah,
true.
Singapore's hot. And then a lot of people, but Labuan in Malaysia, I think, is actually going to be like they've got some really forward thinking people there too. Switzerland's got really good. Like the thing is that it's not even about good legislation and good rules. It's just about clear legislation and clear rules, because then you at least know what side of the wall you're on, right? And you can choose to obey or not obey, but at least you have a clear guidance on what you're doing. The problem with so many jurisdictions is it's like, well, it could be considered that, well, maybe this license might, guys, like I have $50 million in investment. I can't build the whole thing on a maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's like, and so I think it's super funny because I think that countries like the U.S. that are like, that are really just sort of, backwatering it, and just like, having terrible conversations around blockchain and stuff. It's like they're going to lose market share to like the thing about blockchain is it's global, right? Is that it's
no
like,
borders,
it's like it's geographically agnostic more than any other thing that's ever happened ever. And what countries that don't get their shit together around legislation and regulation is they're going to lose massive market share to what was, like a nothing country, or like countries that weren't like Bermuda is a very, very small country with very, very advanced blockchain laws. And my boy Gabe Abeds is the advisor to the prime minister of Bermuda. And they've got really clear laws on blockchain companies. They're really, and tax breaks for crypto companies, and ton of people that would have started businesses in the US are going to start businesses in Bermuda because it's easier and cheaper, and that they have clear regulatory guidance there.
Yeah.
And I think the Caribbean's gonna be massive, dude. Like the Caribbean's really got their act together, and I'm seeing a lot of really cool stuff coming out of the Caribbean. And Singapore's been a really good place. They've been really open. Like it's really funny. Kingsland, our head of global business development, Robert Kim, lives in Singapore, and we've run some classes. Like we actually ran a class for the government of Singapore for Kingsland.
Wow.
For teaching them
very cool
solidity development. But we went to meet with their government agency that's around like media and technology. And we walked into the offices. This is a government building, and it felt like we were walking into a startup. And I was like, yeah. So like, when are we going to the government building? He's like, this is it. And I was like, this is a government building? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, this is like Y Combinator, man. Like this is like, it was like super nice and like hip and like not oppressive.
Yeah.
Like government buildings in the U.S. are terrible, right? It's like and I'm sure. Poland, same way.
Poland, a lot of Europe. I mean, a lot of Europe has older infrastructure, and
But I mean, Singapore is just like really cutting edge. It's a great place to be. Fun. Taking my kids there next week.
Yeah, I mean, we nerded out about Singapore like yesterday, and like it is a great place. And I think for a crypto startup, like the cost may be a little high. If someone's like looking just to start something, just like a bootstrap project, that might be difficult.
For
Obviously,
sure.
if you have investors, it's a great place. We talked a bit about Malta. In the last few days, and.
I think the blockchain world's souring on Malta. Unfortunately.
Yeah, they're not delivering what they promised they would deliver, and I think it's in a way it's a very tough conversation to have with them, because I think now they're really getting to this point where they know they overpromised. And they would like to make amends, but they're not really sure how to proceed. And I think there's going to be a lot of cool projects coming out of Malta, but obviously from some news from the last 2 weeks, Bittrex they've relocated to Liechtenstein. You see some other exchanges that are moving either to Estonia or different European jurisdictions. So
Liechtenstein's a great example of a very small, like a principality, city-state, right?
Yeah.
That just like got their shit together.
Yeah.
And we're able to attract massive capital, massive companies just because.
A lot of crypto-friendly banking there.
Because it's like, and it's not even the best like for taxation, right?
No,
but
by no means.
And that's the whole thing. All you need is clarity, right? If you have clarity, people will build.
Yeah, that's very true.
Dubai's actually becoming. I think Dubai is going to be a huge hotbed of it.
It's usually synonymous with some of the worst blockchain conferences. So
I don't know, man. I like you just went to the wrong ones, dude. Anything that Mo Levin puts on there, anything like from World.
I didn't know Mo
Forums,
Levin was doing anything. In,
Dubai. He lives in Dubai half the year. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He's got a great
Tax
place.
resident?
Yeah, for sure. But Emirates is actually like they've come out with a lot of clarity, and they're really digging in on blockchain, really digging in on AI, like in a massive way. So yeah, I expect a lot of innovation coming out of Dubai too.
That's interesting. Like I know, so there's a lot of countries that they're not really putting in the work yet, but they're starting to maybe, and I think maybe that's my information on Dubai maybe ended there. So, if they're doing stuff that's actually helping out the industry, like more power to them. Like I really hope, like as you said, like the best thing that we can hope for right now is clarity. Like not all countries are equal, not all laws are equal, but if we have clarity, then we can do everything. And the clarity due to in regards to taxation in crypto is that's one of the most lacking things that are most lacking.
So true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very difficult. All right, we're going to be wrapping up soon, but I want to ask you, what are the things in the space you're most excited about right now?
Things in the space that I'm most excited about.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
An open-ended question, so you can take it any way you want.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about Libra-like projects, right? Because I'm not convinced, Facebook made a good offering. Our government hates it. And, so they might not be the ones to get to market with it. But I think, a massive company or a massive country-backed stablecoin, I think it's going to be a game changer. I think that it's going to bring more adoption than we ever even imagined. Like Facebook has billions of users, and like, they're great gateway drugs, like I was saying earlier. And so I'm super excited about it. And I think the conversation gets bogged down in this but it's inferior to big, like that's a VHS Betamax conversation. Okay. Yeah, maybe the technology is superior. And, do I like Bitcoin better? Obviously I like Bitcoin better. But
you'll like Bitcoin better when there's 3 billion people using it, right?
Yeah, man. You know, and like if you can get, 2 billion people to have wallets, dude, what are we talking about, man?
Yeah.
It'll make 2017 look like a blip.
Yeah.
I
mean, we're going to get there eventually, but this is
Yeah, but
obviously
I
just going
think-
to speed up the process.
I think that there's a couple of things. I think that there's a couple of sort of combat multipliers for mass adoption. And I think that crypto use in gaming, I think it's going to be massive. I think like what, Wax and Opskins did. I think like that was like
so
a
like
first-
gaming, like computer gaming and not gambling gaming, right?
Well,
'Cause that's
both.
Okay.
But the thing is that it's like there's a massive like way bigger than the cryptocurrency market cap for like in-game purchases, right? For like
obviously.
skins and weapons and clothes and all of that stuff, and it's getting bigger, right? It's getting bigger, and adding blockchain for fungibility to those items so that the game producer is not the centralized authority that gets to do it, where like you actually, if you buy something in game, you own it, you actually have private keys to it. Like that's huge.
Oh, I agree.
And Korea, like they don't even really fuck with sports. They fuck with esports.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, and I mean, it's like, like esports players are
like
gods over there, dude. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's, it's crazy. And like, and the US is getting that way too. I mean, esports are becoming huge in the US as well. And I think that marriage of crypto, blockchain, NFTs.
I love NFTs.
Yeah. I think non-fungible tokens.
I told you I'm developing a company that like the whole idea, like it's a trading card game, but like the actual mechanics are embedded into the NFT, into the ERC 721 token.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, because they're like, okay, there's a lot of games, but a lot of them are just having the transaction hash on the blockchain, and everything else is like client side or something along those lines. And I think it's really cool. Like we're getting to this point where like blockchains, side chains, and like second layer protocols are like getting super crazy.
Yeah.
Like super crazy fast, super crazy efficient, and like there's going to be an influx of like awesome games that are using like actual blockchain.
Yeah, and so I think that it's going to really take off in the next year. And I think that I think that's going to be one of the things that like really sparks mass adoption, is because like so many people play these games and they're used to having this value set of these in-game purchases. And like when they start associating that with blockchain and crypto, I mean, that's wildfire.
Yeah, I think Decimated is doing something really cool where they have a token. They're developing this massive game where it's like this post-apocalyptic world where like you're either like a Blade Runner-esque cyborg detective or something else. But they're selling their tokens on their website, and the tokens are used in-game and outside of the game. So it's really cool. So it's like the actual currency within the game that you buy. Like I don't know if they have potions or weapons or whatever, but you actually use it to buy stuff within the game, and you buy stuff like from their store. I think with the tokens also, it's like they build this entire ecosystem based on their token. And I think that's just amazing, So it's like World of Warcraft where you have gold, but the gold is a token that you can buy in the real world with real value. It's
I think that's going to be massive. One of the things that I think is actually coming out of Europe that's going to have a lot of influence on a lot of crypto companies is all this GDPR regulation that's coming out. And like the gaming companies like we were talking about is that like I own a company called Gravity.net. We're like a high-end cybersecurity consulting company. And we've done security audits for a bunch of gaming companies, and I'm not going to name any names, but like a lot of them a lot of companies just don't take security seriously. And for the first time,
user data.
For the first time in history, really, like there's this super sweeping, overreaching legislation where the penalties they're astronomical, dude. And like in the United States, we have a law that's passed called CCPA. It's like the California Consumer Privacy Act, I think. And it's got statutory penalties where it's like an unintentional violation, like privacy violation, like you get hacked, you drop a database, it's $2,500 per incident. An incident is like each user record, right? So it's like if you drop
huge amounts of money.
If you drop a 1 million person database, that's like $2.5 billion.
You can close the company.
Fines. Yeah, these are catastrophic company, ending events, and so many people
BitMEX recently.
That was so crazy, dude. Who the hell is using BCC like that, dude? That's like, oh my God, that was nuts.
Yeah.
And that right there.
That's not that this event with BitMEX, I don't think it reverberated through the crypto community with enough force. Like people need to realize like what a massive shitstorm
the BitMEX thing, like it brings up a huge point that I make about cybersecurity all the time, is that like people think about hackers in terms of like they're like computer gods and that they're like do all this. That's not the issue. The issue is you're doing the dumb stuff, right? And it's like, like that's it. Just like they just used to copy. They just like copied their whole, user list and then emailed it out to everybody and got scraped.
It's like who was having? Wait, who was it recently that had the? I think it was user logins and password in an unencrypted like Word or Excel spreadsheet that leaked out.
Yeah, there's an analogy. Like I think it's Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle had a bit where he's like, you have the place at your house where you hide your porn, but the super secret place. But that's not where the porn gets found. It gets found when you leave it in the VCR. Right? That's so true in cybersecurity. It's not, it's not like, it's not like these super genius people that are like defeating your security. It's like you're doing really dumb stuff.
Like you're leaving a trace, you have crappy passwords, you're not doing 2FA, you're not using a VPN.
People talk about blockchain like not being secure. Blockchain's super secure. Yeah. It's like the crappy infrastructure that you built around the blockchain where you didn't update your software for 18 months.
Yeah, if you're still using an iPhone 4, like guys, it might be an issue.
No, it's so true though.
Yeah,
it's so true. It's like it's all this like you're not taking care of like basic housekeeping stuff.
Yeah,
like you're not doing like you're not rotating out of passwords. You're not updating your server software.
Yeah,
you're like. I don't know if you saw this, but like in that massive Equifax breach, right? Is that like when they like dropped disclosure for it, like that account, they're like these hackers came in, dude. That account, like the username was admin and the password was admin. 154 million users dropped.
Oh my God.
Admin, right? Like, and like this is $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Multi-billion
totally
dollars.
Absurd.
Yeah. And it's like, like that's the stuff. And like this legislation around cybersecurity now, GDPR, CCPA, and they're like, they're coming out everywhere. Like those sorts of attacks are going to cost you hundreds of millions or billions of dollars.
And that's one cool thing that actually we can circle back really quickly to crypto and crypto exchange regulation. No matter if people are bad-mouthing Malta or not, like we're, like one of the companies that I'm in, we're going through the process of getting licensed in Malta, right? And one of the things that Malta and the MFSA is really pushing, and kudos to them, is how are you protecting your data? How are you protecting your users? What's your, cybersecurity looking like? Like this is one of the main best aspects of regulating crypto exchanges because it separates the posers from the serious players, right? Because like obviously like maybe some of the smaller exchanges or the ones that want to make a quick buck, like all the white label solutions, they're just pushing, doing whatever, and maybe keeping unencrypted user data on some Excel spreadsheet, right? And it's cool that you have government officials that are actually pushing for it and like requiring these 30, 40, 50, 60 page documents outlining exactly what the flow is, exactly what the security is, because they want to make sure that if they license you, you're not going to have 100,000, 200,000 users that are going to come crying to them that, everything was handled poorly and they lost a bunch of money or their data was breached.
It's a good first step for sure.
Yeah.
Like at least it's getting people to think about that, and
which is more than has happened.
For the most part, governments don't understand cybersecurity at all. Like
absolutely.
So like my co-founder at Gravity, Nathaniel Wakelam, everybody just calls him Nafi. But he hit at DEF CON, not this past year, but the year before that. He hit the Marine Corps was the target for DEF CON. Like they came in and they brought they brought in like the top 100 hackers on the HackerOne platform, and they did like a 72-hour hackathon on site at DEF CON. And Nafi like took their whole app offline, like was able to like counterfeit the authentication token for the server they were on, and then like access like top secret government server. They had to shut the whole program down. And like this is Department of Defense, dude.
Yeah.
And like it's terrifying, man. It's like, and we get household names that come to us, and like, we do a security audit on them, and like we're able to like break them wide open in 15 minutes. And we're like, dude, it's not if you're going to have a problem, it's a win. And like the thing is like we've done audits on some massive sites, and it's like, dude, you've already been hit. Like they just didn't disclose it.
Yeah.
Like there's like your security's so bad. There's no chance that like, China hasn't been in here. Like it's egregious. And like these laws are making the penalties like terrible.
Like is the U.S. Navy still on Windows XP? Like you remember that from a few years ago?
Well, dude, I don't know if you saw the news, but we just upgraded our intercontinental ballistic missile systems, no longer using 8.5-inch floppy disks.
Oh my God.
We literally like 2 weeks ago, we literally like stopped having all of our nuclear weapons run off of floppy disks. Like that's where our government's at.
Launch the floppy disk.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, but it's nuts. Like if you can't be in business if you don't take privacy and cybersecurity seriously.
Absolutely.
At all.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Yeah.
And if you need help, gravity.net, we'll be happy to take a look at your stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know we're going to be doing some stuff together. I know that.
Yeah,
like we already
sure.
have some stuff planned. So check it out. Pimp your stuff. If there's anything else to pimp.
No, I think that's probably it. Yeah, gravity.net for all of your cybersecurity needs.
And Kingsland.
And kingslanduniversity.com. If our ISAs are only based in the U.S., so but I know you guys have U.S. listeners.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Education in blockchain, like I think I think it's very analogous to getting into Bitcoin really, really early, because like there's so few people that understand programming for blockchain right now. There's so few people that do that.
Our logo went away.
Well, no, we can pimp Samsung.
We're sponsored by Samsung now, guys. We just
Whoa,
haven't received the money yet.
Got an upgrade. There we are, and we're back. But like if you have 3 to 5 years of blockchain programming experience, dude, the amount of money you can charge for your work is absurd. It's just the tip of the iceberg now. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I know developers that are making multi-million dollars a year as a salary.
Yeah.
Like that's not bonuses. That's not investing in crypto. Like that's their base salary.
Yeah.
It's nuts right now, and there's just not a whole lot of people that are doing it. On scale. It's like we have a couple of thousand people in a world of billions of people,
and it's just going to go, there's going to be more needs with each year.
And it's like we need more software developers as a whole.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
blockchain is like, we're like this little minuscule subset of it. And it's like, it's so funny to me because like, you'll go to these conferences, you'll talk to these people, you'll have people on your show, and they'll be talking about this like this utopian world that we're gonna build with blockchain. And I'm just sitting here like, yeah, but who's gonna like who's your devs? Like, we're gonna find some guys, like and like that's one of the things that like we've actually really nailed is like actually like training people to do this work, because I think it was just really really needed.
Are you taking Kingsland to Europe at any time? Is that on your roadmap?
So we ran our first class in Sofia, Bulgaria. So we've actually run classes here before.
Nice.
I think we ran a class in Spain as well too. Because we really wanted to dial in our curriculum right. So for like the first year and a half, everything was in person. Now you can do everything online,
nice.
So you can do it from anywhere in the world.
Cool.
So it's open. It was everything. The only bar to entry is you're going to have to speak English. Like everything's delivered in English for now. We're working on a Spanish program. We're working on a Chinese program.
That's
awesome. But you can take the whole program online. And it's like I think our Zero to Blockchain program, which will take you from knowing nothing about software development, will teach you everything about full stack software development, and it will teach you everything about blockchain. Not everything, but we'll teach you
enough.
It will teach you enough to get dangerous. But we'll teach you software development. We'll teach you blockchain development, and like that whole program is like $14,000. Right. And so it's like, if you can
compared to that philosophy degree you got from UC Berkeley,
well, dude, okay,
random listener.
Yeah. But so your host here that you're listening to went to George Washington University, which is one of the most expensive schools. Like, what is it? $42,000 a year?
When I used to go there, so when you attend GW, you get a guarantee. Like, since prices increase from year to year, you actually get
you get locked in.
Yeah, you get locked in for 4 years, because you can end up, if they didn't have a guarantee amount that you pay for 4 years, like, you would probably see like double-digit inflation in price.
Yeah, it's
so
absurd.
when I attended GW, like, I got grants and like low interest loans, so I made it work. Like, I didn't pay like the sticker price, but I've known kids that paid $27,000 per semester, $27,000 US
$54,000 a year.
Yeah, I think
and
that's a price tag.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
When I was
And
there
like,
10 years
and that's
ago.
for 1 year. And like our whole program's $14,000.
Exactly.
And like, you can
so half
double
of one
your
semester of GW.
You can double your salary.
Yeah.
For it. And we'll guarantee to place you in a job. So it's like
something that not a lot of schools in the U.S. are doing.
Right. So we're a little bit different than how most people are working. Like, we're teaching skills that are actually needed in the marketplace. And
sounds like Bernie Sanders would be a great spokesperson for you.
Yeah, I don't think Bernie Sanders would touch us. Fucking Bernie. So KingstonUniversity.com. If you have any interest at all in learning about blockchain, we're the #1 place in the world for it.
Go check them out.
Yeah.
Jason King, thank you so much, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
All right, we got to do this again sometime.
For sure. From Puerto Rico.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
January.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Take care.